Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to another episode of News Dose, where I give you all of the latest gaming news, and we have to talk about the launch of the PlayStation 5 today. A new report went up online claiming that Sony has been having some major supply issues for the PlayStation 5 due to a strangely low system-on-chip yield, otherwise known as SoC. This had the game community up in a frenzy today, but Sony later on came out and denied these rumors, so stick around and we will talk about that. Also, how powerful is the Xbox Series S? Well, we got some new information that makes the Series S sound very impressive, so stay tuned for that as well. First though, let's go over some of the quick news, starting off with some release dates. I don't know why all of a sudden, but several games got release dates today, which is great news in my opinion, especially with so many games getting delayed in 2020. Luckily though, 3 games made it through here. First up, we have Amnesia Rebirth coming to the PlayStation 4 and PC on October 20th, and I know horror fans really enjoy that franchise. And it's a pretty good release date coming right before Halloween. We could have a very spooktacular game there. And then you also have Ghost Runner coming to the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC just 1 week later on October 27th. Now, this is actually a really cool game that's kind of going under the radar right now. It kind of reminds me of Mirror's Edge just a bit and has a nice looking slasher combat system. I'm not sure how popular this game will end up being, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's received rather well by fans. Of course, the jury is still out on that, but you might want to pay attention to Ghost Runner. I do think it looks pretty fun myself. The game I'm most confident in though is Twin Mirror, which not only got a new trailer today, but it also got a release date for December 1st. So this is actually Don't Nod's next big game. If you don't know who they are, they're the minds behind Life is Strange and Tell Me Why, and that's the thing. These are really high quality adventure games, and Tell Me Why just released. That was an Xbox Game Studios game, and it's been releasing into Xbox Game Pass over the last couple weeks. And apparently, Don't Nod already has their next game ready to go for December 1st. It looks interesting too, and well, kind of strange, but they are a very talented developer, so I'm expecting this to be yet another great game by them. So there it is, Twin Mirror will be releasing for the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC on December 1st. Now we also got a new Monster Hunter game announced today. Yeah, I know some of you have to be excited by the thought of some more Monster Hunter, but you might want to slow down on this because it's not quite what you think. This isn't the next big Monster Hunter game, but instead it's Monster Hunter World for a pachinko machine. Yeah, it's time to hit the lever. Fans shouldn't be too disappointed by this though. This type of stuff is very popular in Japan, so it does make sense just as long as Capcom doesn't go the Konami route and they still make regular console games. The good news here is that supposedly Capcom still does have another new Monster Hunter game in development for the Nintendo Switch, so do keep that in mind. This is something that the insider Dust Golem has talked about on Twitter multiple times by this point, and he claims this new Monster Hunter game will be using the Resident Evil engine, and this time he even says that it should be making an appearance at TGS later this month. Now this has the potential of being huge. As we have seen with Monster Hunter World this generation, it's a franchise that has really grown worldwide, but the thing is, Monster Hunter has always been a very big franchise over in Japan. Even on the PlayStation Portable, Monster Hunter was doing some crazy numbers over there, and while the Nintendo Switch is by far the most popular console in Japan right now. So if Monster Hunter is making its way back to handheld gaming, that could be a very big deal in Japan. For that matter, I think it will do very well worldwide with how much it's grown since the release of Monster Hunter World. Now of course we do have to see what this game is first before making too many predictions. For all I know, this could be a spin-off to Monster Hunter, but I will say this, TGS 2020 just continues to sound more and more exciting by the day. Moving on though, we got another free next generation upgrade, this time for Borderlands 3. This free upgrade will be heading to the Xbox Series and the PlayStation 5, giving each the capability of running at 4K 60 frames per second. The cool thing here though is not just with the free upgrade, but also that Borderlands 3 will be getting 4-player split screen. Yeah, this seems like a feature that has slowly been dying over the years, but they are bringing it back with Borderlands 3, and I love this for multiple reasons. Borderlands, of course, is one of the better cooperative experiences on the market right now, so 4-player split screen is very fitting for this game. But one thing I'm really looking at is the addition of split screen for the next generation consoles. See, one reason split screen doesn't always happen is because the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 isn't always capable of running these games with split screen. That does require extra processing power, and with developers prioritizing graphics, split screen has unfortunately been a sacrifice for that. Now, I grew up playing split screen games like Diddy Kong Racing and GoldenEye, so it is sad seeing less and less games do that today. But with the extra power from the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5, it could make this feature a lot easier for developers. That all depends on how much they prioritize graphics as usual, but I will say this. The CPUs for these consoles are massive jumps up from the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, so I'm curious to see how much that helps. It's going to be one of those wait and see things, but nonetheless, I love these free next generation upgrades. Maybe we should let 505 Games know. I kid, of course. Since we are on the topic of next generation consoles, we need to talk about the PlayStation 5. So a big report by Bloomberg came out last night claiming that Sony is having some major supply issues with the PlayStation 5. This report went on to say that Sony was originally planning to produce 15 million consoles by March of 2021, but due to a strangely low SoC yield, they are slashing that number by 4 million units. This would be a decrease of nearly 30%, placing it at 11 million consoles. Now that still is a lot of consoles, so it was always strange to me that some were acting like this was a low number, and it's actually more than the launch of the PlayStation 4. The PlayStation 4 went on to sell 4.2 million units in its first 2 months alone, though I do fully expect the PlayStation 5 to sell more in the same time frame. A drop-off by 4 million PlayStation 5s in expectations, though, is a very large number, so that is very alarming, but the question, is any of this even true? Fans have been freaking out all day about this, and luckily Sony eventually came out and denied these rumors. They did not say how many consoles they do expect to sell in this time frame, but just said that their production numbers have not changed since the start of mass production. So it doesn't look like that Bloomberg report was accurate. Sony very quickly shut down this rumor, and rightfully so, because it looked like it was affecting their stock. Bloomberg does generally have a very good track record, but it appears this one was wrong. Now, this is just my recommendation, but I would say you need to pre-order the PlayStation 5 if you want one this holiday, just to be safe. The good news here, though, is that Sony is reportedly going to use air freight to meet demand this holiday. They do have 60 flights booked to ship these consoles to different retailers, according to Daniel Ahmad. This is more expensive than shipping by sea, but Sony is probably more than willing to do this in order to take advantage of those holiday sales. For that matter, they're going to want to push as many consoles out to meet demand in order to keep consumers from picking up an Xbox instead. That does happen when there are stock issues, especially during the holiday. A parent could be out shopping, and if one console is out of stock, they will instead buy the other one. So you really don't want to have stock issues during the holiday, especially with new consoles on the market. Again though, it sounds like Sony is doing everything they possibly can to reach demand, but just to be safe, pre-order the PlayStation 5. I'll say the same thing with the Xbox as well. Pre-order these things if you do want them this holiday. Right now though, we just need the price, and then after that, I wish everybody the best luck in getting the console or consoles you want. We probably will get more information about this tomorrow during the PlayStation 5 event, and for that matter, I will say that News Dose will probably be a little late tomorrow as that event takes place about the same time I usually record, so just a heads up there. Let's talk about Xbox though, because two very interesting things popped up. Yeah, so some of these insiders have not had a great day. Jeff Grubb, which we've talked about on numerous times, got a big one wrong. He is one of the most legit insiders right now, and he was claiming that Microsoft tried to acquire Bungie on several occasions, but their asking price was too high. Yeah, the Xbox community absolutely blew up after this was reported. Bungie was the original creators to Xbox's biggest franchise, Halo. So could Xbox really manage to bring them back as a first-party studio? That would be really cool, but the CEO of Bungie squashed this rumor and said this is false. Yes, this one does not appear to be true, but because so many people were reporting on it yesterday, I thought I would at least bring this one up to kind of make sure everybody knows the most updated information on this topic. I do have some good news for Xbox though. The Xbox Series S has remained a very big topic here recently, especially after it was reported that the Series S would not use the Xbox One X version of backwards compatible games, which does make sense. It's not a 4K console, but instead the Xbox Series S enhanced Xbox One S games in other ways such as frame rate and auto HDR. I personally think that Xbox might want to call this Series S enhanced to kind of clear up that confusion, but some of the game community seems to be asking the question, how powerful is the Series S really? Well, it's certainly powerful enough to run games like Call of Duty, Cold War, and Gears 5 at 120 frames per second. But surprisingly, the Xbox Series S particle count for Gears 5 is 50% higher than the PC version on Ultra settings. Now that is very impressive, and the reason for this is the processor. I keep talking about this, but the processor is such a big jump up from last generation consoles that you're going to see a lot of improvements this generation. Things like frame rate is drastically going to improve, or in this case, the particle effects. So the Xbox Series S is a very capable machine, and it's only $300. Just keep in mind, it's not a 4K machine, and that's where a lot of the confusion lies. It is more powerful than the Xbox One X, but it caps at 1440p in order to do everything else better. The processor was a huge bottleneck for the Xbox One X and the PlayStation 4 Pro. If you do want the most powerful console though, then the Xbox Series X would be the way to go. But the Series S is a good entry point for next generation, which is exactly what it's trying to be. It offers frame rate up to 120 frames per second, it has ray tracing, and again, it's only $300. That is an incredible deal, so don't worry about the power of this thing. It's plenty capable. Anyways though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you would like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.